Hello to all of the kings and queens, gods and goddesses, children of the Most High God. I'm on this video to bring a message for you all in regards to a dream that I had recently, okay? And I'll move on to tell you how I feel it relates to those of you who are drawn to this message. So, in this dream, I was at some sort of university and I kind of got lost trying to find my way to a session that I was supposed to go to, some sort of lecture that I was supposed to go to. I didn't know who was doing the lecture, but I knew I was supposed to be there. And so I ended up showing up late because obviously I was trying to find my way to get there throughout this campus or whatnot. And so when I finally made it there, I realized I was very late because everybody was already sitting down and the person who was doing the lecture was already well into their lecture. So you know how you have that feeling when you're walking into a room and everybody is already there, but you're the only one that's late? Everybody turned around and it was literally all eyes on me, okay? And so lo and behold, when I got in there to sit down, the person who was sitting there during the lecture was Denzel Washington. Now, Denzel Washington had a doll in his hand, okay? And so I'm like, well, maybe this was some part of the lecture for him to be holding his doll. It was a pretty brown baby doll dressed in all black. And as he was sitting there talking, he was actually doing the baby doll's hair when I walked in. So I sat down and I tried to be as, incognito as possible because everybody was just looking at me. And so he continued on with his lecture. I don't really recall what he was talking about, but I know he called me up. He said, "Young lady, come here." So I walked up to him and I'm like, why is he calling me, thinking that maybe he's going to maybe make a mockery out of me because I came into the class late, but that wasn't the case at all. He ended up handing me the doll. By this time, he had finished doing her hair. So he said, "I want you to have this." And so I was just shocked, first of all, that Denzel Washington was there during this lecture. But on top of that, the fact that he called me out to give me this doll, I was just completely just honored, okay? And so when I looked at the doll more closely, I realized the doll had on the same outfit that I was wearing. And the hairstyle that he ended up doing for the doll, it was an updo. It looked exactly like my hair. So I was like, wow, this is kind of like an odd coincidence. So I sat back down. When I tell y'all, first of all, when I turned around from standing there facing Denzel Washington, my back was to the classroom. It was to all of the people that was there for the lecture. So I had no idea what was going on behind me. When I turned back around with this doll in my hand, I'm smiling from ear to ear. If looks could kill, I would have been laid out right there on that floor. I'm talking about everybody that was there in that lecture was looking at me like they had the most envious spirit towards me because I was called out and given this doll. And so after the lecture was over, the class was let out. Everybody left out of the classroom, and it was just myself and Denzel Washington. And I asked him, I said, I was so excited. I said, "Can you please autograph my doll?" And he got really angry about that. And he said, "No, I'm not going to autograph the doll." And I ended up waking up. So it took me a minute to kind of register what that was all about, especially the last part of him telling me no and getting upset about that. But first and foremost, in terms of you all, there is many of you who have been out here putting in the work, okay? And you have been hitting a lot of roadblocks, as you've been climbing this mountain to get to the top. You've been hitting a lot of roadblocks and energy that wanted to push you back down, where you have to start all over again. Many of you have had to start all over again, over and over and over again. And you finally was able to jump off that karmic wheel, that hamster wheel of the same type of issues, running into the same type of dilemmas over and over again, okay? Just different scenarios that look slightly different, but the energy felt the same. You had a lot of opposition that did not want to see you get to your destination. But just like in my dream, I was running into different obstacles when it came to getting to this particular lecture, but I finally made it there. And there was other people who had gotten there before me, but apparently there was something that they did not have that I possessed. And excuse me, and the fact that someone who the public in the physical realm considers to be a person of honor, Denzel Washington. Many people honor the work that he has done and they see him as a stand-up person. You know, I personally don't see anything. I can't think of any reason why I would have any type of energy that's in opposition to Denzel Washington. So I definitely see him as being a pretty good person. And the fact of the matter is, even in my dream, other people, I mean, they honored him just like I did. You know, I was definitely, I wouldn't say I was starstruck, but I was definitely honored to be able to say that I was meeting him and that he was calling me out to give me something that everyone else that was in that classroom was not able to receive, even though I was the one that showed up late. So it's this energy of, you all have been putting in this work. And even though there's other people that's been able to make it to certain milestones, I guess in the physical realm, they might see it as them, you know, they've made it to the finish line before you. And they might think that, okay, you're not as special as you think you are, or you think you're chosen, or you think you're this and you're that, but yet I'm sitting over here with this, or I've been able to make it to have this or that, XYZ, and you still, oh, you still don't have love in your life, or you still don't have that home that you desire, or you still don't have that career or your entrepreneurship, whatever it is, that degree. But I have this. You know, people are still looking at things through their physical eyes, very much so caught up in the matrix, not realizing that your delay is a part of your blessing. Because when you get there, ultimately there is a reward that is waiting for you that can only be given to you. And it's so specific and detailed when it comes to your blueprint being on it, that when you get there, it's going to be it's going to recognize you. That just like Denzel recognized me, and the doll that he gave me was almost a complete replica of me. And so he knew that the doll wasn't supposed to go to nobody else. It was like when I walked into the classroom, he understood this doll that I have here in my lap is supposed to go to this young lady, because he recognized me. And so I feel like y'all are being recognized in the spiritual realm for many different things that you have been doing. You've been putting in the work. You've been breaking these generational curses. You've been healing yourself. You've been forgiving people from your past. You've been, you know, overcoming situations and being a bigger person in a lot of these situations, and, stepping into your divinity, stepping into your calling. You've been doing so many different things, and you've had a lot of opposition, a lot of jealous spirits that's been around you that never wanted to see you make it. And they sitting in this energy, they have to literally watch you be rewarded, even though in their own minds, they feel like they should be getting your inheritance. They feel like they should be rewarded the gifts that you are receiving. And this is why they're so envious, because they're saying in their own mind, but she was late to the lecture. She walked in almost towards the end of the lecture. So how is she the one that's supposed to get this? But at the same time, just like I recognized that doll baby looked just like me, they recognized it too. And I feel like a large part of it is that they're starting to see that you are a chosen seed. It is destined for you to receive your inheritance and your birthright. It's destined for you to be rewarded for the efforts that you have put in. But these people feel that because you did not show up when they showed up, even though they showed up with the wrong attitude, because at the end of the day, if these were people that was healed, I'm going back to my dream now, but this is also relating to those people that are around you in the physical. If they had truly done the work to heal to the point where they deserved those things that you are getting ready to receive, then they would not be in the spirit of envy and jealousy when you are rewarded your gift and your blessings. They would applaud you. Okay. And they would say, yes, okay, it's her turn now, but my turn is coming because I'm continuing to do the work. And this is just encouragement for me to continue forward. It's motivation for me. But instead, when you automatically resort to the energy of envy and jealousy, so much so that if looks could kill, a person will be laid out, that lets you know that they ain't even nowhere close to doing the work. They still sitting in their ego. Okay, they're still sitting in their carnal nature. They're still sitting right there in their root and sacral chakra. They ain't did no work to level up. Heart chakra blocked, third eye chakra blocked, crown chakra blocked. They ain't got no divine connection whatsoever. But see, they think that because they've put in physical work, and because, for those who see things through their natural eyes and they're not looking at anything spiritual about our existence, will say, well, they deserve it more over there because technically they did this and they did that and they got this degree and they, no. When the Most High gives you your blessings, This is all spiritual right here, okay? When you've been putting in the work to do things, especially when you unselfishly break the generational curses off of yourself, your ancestors, your offspring, and then for those of you who have been taking it even further and sending that intentional energy out there of healing the chosen across all four corners of the globe and breaking these spells and these curses that have been placed over us, I'm telling you, there are people, there are spirits that are sitting in high places, ascended masters that are sitting in high places in the spiritual realm that is looking down over you and that is saying, it is your time to receive your reward, but you are going to receive it right there amongst your enemies. You're going to receive it in front of your enemies, and they're going to be there sitting front row seat to eyewitness everything that you have been able to achieve. And it's going to be very clear to you when you look at these people, they're not going to be able to hide the envy that they have within their spirits when it comes to the rewards that you're receiving and the gifts that's coming to you. It's going to be very clear. Your spiritual eyes will be able to easily detect the disruption that is in their spirit as a result of watching you get exactly what you deserve. But trust and believe in their own mind, even though they will deny it and they don't want to openly admit to it, they know that you deserve it. They know that it was destined for you to receive it. They know that your energetic signature, your blueprint is all over that thing, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Because at the end of the day, let's just say, let's just say this reward, it has your signature on it, so no one else, it doesn't matter what work they put in, they can't receive it. They got to receive the reward that's laid up for them. So they can try. These people, many of them made attempts to push you down because in their mind, it's a race. In their mind, this is a competition. Okay. This is competitive energy that they're in. And so they have done many things against you intentionally to try to stop you from getting to the top. That opposition, whether they were sending out negative energy energetically, or whether they was doing things to you physically in your life in order to stop you from moving ahead and to cause roadblocks for you, these people just knew in their own mind that if they caused enough stumbling blocks, that they would be able to get ahead of you and ultimately get to your blessings. But what they failed to realize is that even though they showed up in the classroom first, even though they made it to the so-called finish line first, the gift was still being held back and preserved for you until you made it to the finish line. And that's a large part of what was really tripping them out, because they looking at you as you receive your blessings as if like, wow, all of these roadblocks that I sent towards this person in order for me to be able to receive their inheritance, and I still get there first, and this thing is still held back and on reserve until they actually make it here. And they happen to show up late? Oh, wait a minute. A reality check happens at that point. Suddenly, they start to see that this thing is way bigger than their ego and their pride and their desire to take selfishly from those who they have no right to take things from. The Most High has set this up so perfectly that in spite of what your enemies have done, you still reap the harvest and the reward of your efforts, no matter if they put these stumbling blocks ahead of you and they get there first, they still don't get your reward or your blessing, because it's still going to be stored up and waiting for you. No matter how late you are to the game, you still get your blessing. They can't touch it because energetically they don't match the energy to receive it. And so in that dream, it was made very clear to them, not only to them, but also to me. And I feel like also another part is that towards the end, when I was, kind of awestruck, and the first thing that I asked, because I had an opportunity in that moment with myself and Denzel being in a room together, and the whole classroom had cleared out. In that moment, I had the opportunity to ask very vital questions. Questions like, well, what drew you to give me this doll? I'm honored to receive it, but what is it about me? Can you tell me some things that you've been able to recognize within me and give me some insight on how I can continue to move ahead? I could have used that as an opportunity to really receive some vital knowledge and wisdom. Okay. And I feel like that's why he got upset, because when I asked him for his autograph, it was like, okay, you kind of going back into your ego right now, because my autograph has nothing to do with why I gave you the doll. I need you to look at the bigger picture of why you're receiving this reward. And so that's another fair warning for those of you who are coming into receiving your harvest, that when you do get to that place of where you're being recognized and given your blessings, be sure that you remain humble in your energy and that you do not revert back into your ego. Use it as an opportunity to reflect and to definitely be in a space of gratitude, but to also gain an understanding of why at this season in your life you are in the perfect energy to receive. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like that's why he got upset about that, because that was a moment that I could have utilized to elevate myself even further. So that's just a fair warning for those of you. And it's one that a lesson that I also had to humbly receive in the dream. And so just know your name is being mentioned in some very high places, okay? And trust and see, this is the reason why this is happening here, is because in the spiritual realm, you've been a spiritual warrior. You've been fighting some battles and winning. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. I had a dream after I had that dream just last night. Well, oh gosh, I don't even want to tell you that dream. I'm not going to tell you that dream because it's too gory. But I tell you, when I tell you that the overall gist of the dream is that I defeated the hell out of my enemies. I'm talking about, it was, by the time I was done, I was standing this high all the way up, and my enemies, it was two of them, but I'm sure I have more. But my enemies was laid down. They was laid out on their back. I had to look down stairs. It was like stories. I was standing up high, and they was down low on their back, body balled up, curled up. Okay. I was shown that I had defeated them, and it was a gory scene. So I'm not going to tell y'all that dream, but in the spiritual realm, we have put some ass kickings on on our enemies, to the point where it has there is no choice but for it to manifest in the physical. So you're going to find that some of your enemies will come out of the woodworks. You might look at them like, damn, I didn't even know you felt that way about me. But it's only because they see that in spite of the efforts that they had against you from afar, some of these people you don't even know personally, okay? But they are definitely receiving that ass kicking in the physical now, because in the spiritual realm, you tore their asses up. You've been doing a breaking of these generational curses and this spell work and this dark magic and all of this stuff, unselfishly fighting on behalf of yourself and your ancestors and your offspring. And so because of that, just like how in the physical, when there's a war that breaks out, if you have one person that slays damn near 100 people, their name is going to be spoken by some people who have high rankings, okay, in the physical war. So imagine in the spiritual realm, when you slaying these demons and you talking about generations of chains that have been bound to you and your ancestors and your offspring, that was intentional chains so that your offspring will have to carry this burden for generations to come. And you breaking that? Do you know the type of spiritual beings, ascended masters, holy angels, ancestors that are seeing you and that are talking about you and that are giving praise to you? So what happens is, as above, so below. Just like you have all of these ascended masters and higher level evolved beings that are speaking about the spiritual war that you have won. Okay, they are rewarding you and applauding you. It has to manifest in the physical. So in the physical, it just might look like you being rewarded by a Denzel Washington that's handing you a doll baby that look just like you. Okay? Okay? In the physical, it might just look like those people who have made it to a space where they are respected highly by the public and the community, and they are recognizing you. And your enemies have to sit back and watch you be elevated in front of their face, even though they made it there first, but they did it dirty though. They played dirty. They took shortcuts. They didn't take the time out to heal. You took a long time to get into that classroom because you've been taking the time out to put in work. You went into hermit mode and said, I'm going to sit in this cocoon until I'm told that it's time for me to reveal myself to the world. And while I'm in this cocoon, I'm going to be intentional about doing work on myself. You was doing the work. And so that's why when you get ready to walk into that classroom, even though your enemies are already sitting there, expecting to receive your harvest, they're actually there. They don't realize they made it there first because they supposed to have a front row seat at your reward, where you are being honored. They supposed to have that front row seat. That's how the Most High orchestrated it. But yet and still, they thought that they had some sort of leg up. They thought that, see, they didn't believe in the Most High. They didn't believe in destiny. They didn't believe in karmic debt and justice, and what you put out there, what you reap is what you sow. They thought that all of that was just fallacy. They thought they could operate from a space of wickedness against the chosen seed and take your seat and receive your harvest and make a mockery of you because you getting there late, because they threw all these big ass stumbling blocks your way and kept on pushing you back down the mountain every time you almost got to the top. But little did they know that by the time all their old silly asses made it there and got there first, they only got there first to be sitting there front row seat to watch you receive everything that you rightfully earned. Now all they can do is just sit back and roll their eyes, okay? That's the only thing that they can do, and learn a very vital lesson. Many vital lessons are coming, actually, because like I said, that dream that I had last night, oh, it was heavy. Oh, it was gory. But I had the victory, and I looked down at my enemies as they laid flat on their back, looking up at me in agony. And that's just what it was. Apparently, it was shown to me for a reason. I don't watch no movies where people are killing and doing all this crazy stuff like that. That's just not something that I'm naturally drawn to. Not anymore. And so for me to have that dream, right after I had this dream about receiving my rewards and turning around and seeing all these people that was jealous of me, for me to have that dream, it was just confirmation that these people, their time is up. My time is now. Your time is now. Your harvest is here. You've done the work to meet your harvest because it was preserved and reserved and set aside for you until you was ready to have the open hands to receive it. Especially once you released and unclenched them fists from holding on to them things that you didn't need. So now you're going to find out who your real enemies are when they get to see you. It's going to be very clear to you. Okay, it's going to be very clear to you, but it doesn't matter because you've made it and you've done the work. So that's what I wanted to tell you all. I love you. If you want a private reading, you can always email me. If you want to order my oils, you can always email me. But get ready to receive your harvest because it is your time. You was able to overcome the opposition and now you receive your reward. I love you.